I want to welcome Ilya Brotzky from VanHack. How you doing today, Ilya?
Really well, thank you. Thanks, Greg.
It's great to have you here. Tell us a little bit about VanHack.
For sure. And just quickly, I see there's Alex and Peter here, so I just want to say hi, Alex, hi, Peter. Love to have your participation and help answer any of your questions, give you value for this time that you're spending with us. Hello, awesome. Um, and so yeah, VanHack, we're an online. Well, these days everything's online. We're a tech recruiting platform that helps companies hire senior developers or software engineers from around the world and have them either work remotely or actually relocate to their countries, to their cities. We've been doing this for 5 years. Helped over almost 1,000 engineers get hired at companies such as Deloitte, Rogers, Skip the Dishes, Wrangle, Touch Bistro, you name it. There's about 600 customers now, and have a team of around 32 people. So yeah, fairly small organization still.
So I know you've been through Techstars, and I don't know if you still work with them a lot. Can you tell me a little bit about where the idea came from? Like, were you sitting around? We need to find a better way to hire. Did you go through Techstars with this idea? Did it come after?
It came before. It came in mid 2014, or even before that. So I lived. I don't know. It's kind of like, looking like a really macro picture. It's kind of an idea or a project I've been kind of destined to work on in a way, which is kind of silly to say, but I feel that way because um, I was born in USSR and left when I was 2.5. Immigrated my first memory of my life was immigrating, and then when I was 5, I immigrated again to Canada. And so I kept traveling and moving. I actually lived up in the US for university, so kind of a mini immigration. And then after university, I moved to Brazil. This is where the idea came from, is when I was in Brazil, when I spent 4 years living there and was working in a tech startup accelerator. And all the developers there started asking me, well, many of the developers there were really good at coding, but they were all asking me for help with English. And a lot of them asked me for help about, or just were curious about Canada, or at least had friends who wanted to move to Canada or just wanted to do that. And at the same time, when I was in Brazil, I was doing a side project called Brazil Career Blueprint. It was an online course to teach people how to move to Brazil. And then I told that to my friends in Brazil, and they all told me I'm doing this wrong. I have to flip it. I have to help Brazilians move to Canada. So that kind of theme kept going up and up again and again. And when I moved back myself after 4 years to back home to Vancouver, I started getting all these messages from developers and people I met in these meetups and events back when those were a thing. And they just asked me, hey, like I see your picture on Facebook, like tell me more. How's the economy? And so I started thinking there must be something here. Threw up a landing page, got a bunch of emails. The original idea was, and the landing page was, come to Canada to learn how to code. Come to Canada to do like a Lighthouse Labs bootcamp, for example. But all the people who really, like the majority of people who signed up were already senior developers. They already had 10 years experience, etc., and they just wanted to immigrate. But their challenge was English and how to do a job interview and understanding who is actually open to hiring from abroad. So that's kind of like long story, but that was the origin of the idea. So I just thought, what, let's create an online course to teach developers these soft skills. And that was actually our first product. We didn't mean to start a recruiting company. About a year into it, companies started asking us, hey, any of your students or candidates work with Unity or Ruby on Rails or Java? And then kind of started making intros and realized, hey, we can make a lot more revenue making these intros than we can selling the English classes. So let's also do the intros or the recruiting. And yeah, I can go into details about how we grew it, but that's kind of the origin of everything.
And that's great. And you were mentioning before, how many people have hired through your platform now?
Um, the exact number, it's a public, we kind of have a public Excel sheet, 944, actually 945, we had a hire yesterday. So yeah, almost 1,000. We're hoping to get to 1,000 in the next few months here. We're having about 20, 30 hires a month.
And who do you look for? Like, or who should be on or part of your member group?
You mean for candidates?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's primarily tech talent from emerging markets, if you kind of look at it that way. So people from South America, Asia, Eastern Europe. We work with a lot of as well people who just moved to Canada too. So if you are, a new immigrant, a newcomer to Canada, and don't have your visa status, or maybe your English isn't very good, or you're not super confident, like we work with those kind of underrepresented talents. I would say the diamonds in the rough, we like to call them, people who are amazingly talented, but for whatever reason, they just not getting the, like, maybe they don't have the visa, maybe they're not in the country local currently, maybe whatever reason they haven't got their position yet. So those are the kind of the talent that we like to work with, because it's we know how hard it is for them, and we also feel like it's an untapped market where other companies aren't looking there. They just want the perfect candidate, so they're not willing to invest the time to create that perfect candidate. So we, in a way, do that. Of course, a lot of times we find candidates who are amazing, just send them. But yeah, that's kind of the underdog is the way I like to look at it.
So that was a great intro. I know. Why don't we get it into your presentation about, because a lot of startups ask me all the time, where do I find a developer? Where do I find the best coder or an architect? All those types of things. And, I want to start telling them the right tips. I usually point them to universities and different groups. So where should they start?
I'll get right into it, but kind of first, I want to understand, Peter and Alex, what would you like to get out of the presentation? Because I have like 15 slides, and I don't want to just keep talking about the slides. Was there anything like, are you, Alex or Peter, currently hiring tech talent? Are you just please like give me a quick chat in the chat summary so I can answer the questions as we go along, as efficiently as possible. So. Just, is it working? Can you see my
see your screen.
Here?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Can you see just the Chrome, right? Okay, good. So this is my insider tips for hiring tech talent presentation. The reason it's in pink is actually because I was presenting this at a Founder Institute event, actually, with Sunil in Toronto a few weeks ago, and one of the other presenters was saying, "Oh, like he gave a comment, and I thought it was kind of funny. Like, he gave a comment saying." Your presentation, your pitch deck, not mine, but one of the Canada entrepreneurs, it's pink, and a lot of Silicon Valley investors won't invest in your startup because you have a pink pitch deck. And I thought that was hilarious and just terrible, sexist comment. And so I turned my slides pink, and I went after, and I just, hey, like, what about me? Can I have a pink slides too? So
I love it. Yeah, we can see the full outline. What the things on the side as well, just so you know.
Yeah. I prefer not to go into
That's fine.
Full screen mode just because I want to read the chat here. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. So Peter is a co-founder, or he's looking for a co-founder at the engineering level. Okay, interesting. On getting senior talent quickly in this environment, startup advisory role, full-time contracts. Awesome. Yeah, so I can answer both those questions pretty, let me just go to the quick first presentation. But yeah, Peter, I would just very quickly say, you don't need a co-founder. A lot of people make this mistake where they think they need a co-founder, but they just need a senior developer to build their product, and that person does not need to be a co-founder. So that's just something to think about. You maybe don't want to give away equity early on if you don't need to. And then Alex looking for senior talent, for sure. Okay, that presentation will go over all that. So yeah, cool. So VanHack, we kind of talked about this already, and some customers. So what we're going to talk about today is agenda is sourcing. So looking for candidates, actually interviewing them, hiring them, retaining them, and we're also going to talk about this global talent stream visa, which is in my opinion, the best kept secret and the kind of best secret weapon that especially early stage startups can take advantage of to compete against the Amazons and Microsofts and big tech companies who've raised tens of millions of dollars of the world by tapping into a global talent pool. So Alex, that'd be my answer to your question, but we'll go deep into the details of what that actually looks like. So sourcing. Angelus is one word. Okay. You want to, I guess it's one word. Anyway, this is annoying me. Yeah, there you go. So when you're sourcing, it's kind of like what we're going to talk about, the funnel of hiring, right? Yeah, I think this is recording you'll get after. So, and Alex, if you want to just like have a conversation with me, I'm definitely open to do like a quick 10-15 minute call with you. No problem at all. So, first place you always want to go to when hiring, right, is your internal network, right? Your friends, friends of friends. It's easy, it's cheap. It usually never works, especially for senior tech talent. Yeah, you do want to go there. Another place is kind of more larger, specific tech job boards for developers: GitHub, Stack Overflow, AngelList, LinkedIn. Well, LinkedIn's not really for developers, but these kind of like the general like talent networks. Also, different job boards. There's so many different ones per city. It's different. Meetups, back when those were a thing, you know, you can go to meetups. I don't know, Craig or Peter or Alex, if you guys are going to the Tech TO meetup where people would say, "Oh, I'm hiring," and everyone would be hiring developers. There's also, you know, recruiters, and then also hiring marketplaces like ourselves, Vettery Hired, and then one really cool one is like dev communities on Slack, and WhatsApp. WhatsApp mostly for international, but Slack a lot locally. It could be a good way for you to find developers. Another kind of pro tip: there's a tool called Duck Soup. I actually can show you guys since since we're here. I wonder if this will work. It's basically a tool. Actually, let me show you on LinkedIn. It's a tool that allows you to add people on LinkedIn. And I was actually doing this to add some developers from Belarus the other day, so it's going to be in Russian. But I have to go to someone's profile, so you can go and do a search. For example, Java developers, but then you can actually add all these people with a customized message. So you see it's in Russian here because I was talking to developers in Belarus, but you can have this in English, and you can say, "Hey, first name, I'm side profile looking for a developer," and that could be a nice way to bring like send a message to all the JavaScript engineers in Toronto. That might work. It's kind of hard, and a lot of times, where are we? A lot of times, companies or developers, would probably not reply. So that could be a challenging one, but it is free, or $20 a month, and it's worth a shot. So yeah, once you have that candidate, then you want to interview them, right? So figure out if they're good or not. So the biggest thing here is communication, and it's crazy how many startups and big companies in general struggle with this, us included, where you have a lot of people applying for jobs and you're not giving them feedback, or you delay 3-4 weeks to get back to someone after an interview. I've seen so many horror stories here. And it's really just about respecting the person's time, telling them what they can expect, like telling them, "Hey, this is the interview process. It's going to be 4 steps. This is what it looks like." And then giving them no, like telling them no as soon as possible, because you don't want to waste someone's time if they're not a right fit, and you don't want to be that kind of company that just doesn't say anything and just leaves them hanging. And nothing is better than better. It's worse than a no. So you should make sure you get people feedback. One question here I have is coding challenge. A lot of people ask me, like, how do you know if they're technically good? And there's a lot of there's no one way. The best way, I would say, is probably having a developer who's like a friend of yours do like assess that person. It could be sometimes hard to do that because you maybe don't even have a friend who's a developer, and so where do you even start there? Places like HackerRank, Codility, these kind of coding tests, they're good, but they're not great because people don't really just do coding algorithms all day. There's a lot more involved into it. But I would just try and find a friend. If you're in the tech space, you should be able to find a friend who's a software engineer, and you can hire them for a certain amount of dollars per hour. Yeah, that'll be helpful. Okay, what do you do when you hire them? So you're actually going to make a hire. Let's say you find someone, they're great. Be as fast as you can to make an offer. Once you're sure about this person, don't screw around and wait for 2-3 weeks. That person will be off the market by then. So make sure as well you give full offer details, so like healthcare, dental, vacation, and all that stuff. Explain to them if there is an ESOP list, employee stock options pool. You want to explain that as much as possible, exactly what that means, because there's some legal. It's not like they're just going to get the shares. They have to buy them and all these things. So that's important. And then as much as you can, just over communicate with them during this offer, especially for you, Peter and Alex. You guys are earlier stage, right? So you want to be able to. You're gonna be all about selling the vision, the dream. Hey, come to work at my startup because you're gonna get ownership. You're gonna get input. You're gonna actually be the one leading. You're gonna grow in your career, right? So you're probably not gonna be able to pay them that 150K salary, but maybe you can give them an opportunity to grow in the company and really find candidates. the perfect situation is when you find someone who's super into your mission and like personally is connected to your product. So if you can somehow, like, I'm not sure what your guys are working on. Actually, I'd be curious to know, Peter and Alex, what you guys are working on. But you wanted to tie what you're building to that person's interest. So therefore, having that person more motivated and engaged to join your team, right? So, and then I just put here international candidate, same as market salary. A lot of people ask me like, hey, if you're hiring from abroad, this is for when they move. But the beautiful thing about international hiring, remote work these days, is that you can find developers who are awesome, and they just don't happen to live in your city, in your postal code, right? So you want to be looking globally, and I think especially if you're an early stage startup that's not looking globally to hire, you're definitely shooting yourself in the foot. I'm gonna stop here just to see if anyone has questions or any comments before I move forward. I just only have three more slides after this. Alex, is this clear? No questions so far? Okay, cool.
Yeah, seems fine. I've got a couple questions, but I'll ask after.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Craig. I was curious, Peter, what startup you're working on? Okay, retention. So this is a really, really underrated part of hiring, and people don't really think about it as much as they should. And it's kind of like, retaining a customer is so much easier than hiring or than getting a new customer. It's the same thing. Retaining a candidate or a team member is so much easier than hiring a new team member to fill that role. The cost of someone leaving is huge. It's not just money, it's time and frustration and delays in your product, right? So you want to be able to give people learning opportunities. Peter said a low-cost delivery service for SMBs. Oh, cool, nice. Delivery is huge these days. You should check out Routific. They're like an API for delivery companies. That's like delivery software as a service. It's pretty cool. Routific. They're also a Techstars company. Yeah. So. Oh, perfect. Great. That's awesome. Yeah, that's good to hear. So, yeah, exactly. That's it.
That's my job, is to put the links you talk about and whatnot in the chat room.
Cool. Yeah, so I think this I'll maybe go over this part quickly just because a lot of you guys are just early stage, but early on, what you want to think about in terms of retention is just it's really like about that culture that you're building, right, or super early on. So you want to have the people on that team very, very much aligned with that culture as much as possible. One of the biggest mistakes, one of the biggest challenges VanHack had as a company is this kind of early stage hiring and forming of the team, because you don't really know who is like, who to say this, when you're hiring people early on, you don't really know what to look for, and you haven't been burned yet, so you don't have that kind of sense of, okay, this person's bad or this person's good. Early indicators of that. So it's I would say like retention is definitely important for you guys, but it's really all about building that culture early on of having those people, and just nothing other than like communication, time spent together, working, getting through challenges together. That there's no antidote or recipe for that. Maybe you can do like personality tests and stuff like that, but I think the biggest thing is just working together and seeing what happens. Hey, we need to ship this product by Monday, work the weekend or whatever, like those kind of early stage things need to get done. You'll see if people are on the same page as you pretty quick. So yeah, I'm not saying that everyone should be working on the weekend, but just sometimes you need to put in that extra effort. And if that person is willing to do that, maybe not as much as you as the founder, but is kind of willing to go above and beyond, then you have someone who's like truly part of the team. I think it's really important in the early days. So yeah, and then kind of lastly, this I won't really talk about. There's a lot of kind of information about how global talent stream works, and there's the visa stuff, but it's just more, I think I'll just use the slide to talk about the benefits of global hiring. And it's not just through VanHack. Like I think for you guys, like just generally look all over the world, like especially South America for Eastern time zone, it makes so much sense, right? You have the developer who's just as skilled as the one who happens to be in Toronto or Vancouver or whatever city you're in at the time, but they're just not there yet. So you could really get great developers for a fraction of the price. And and then have those people eventually move to Toronto. And that's the cool thing, is that it takes 2 months for them to actually move, and you will be able to meet in person, have that benefit. But then at the same time, their visa is a 2-year work permit connected to you, so you have that person staying longer with you. And at the same time, they're grateful and hardworking and really happy to be joining your team. So a lot of startups have hired developers from abroad or from VanHack as well. And we've seen really, really cool growth, and kind of, they always come back to us saying that the engineer is more humble, more hardworking, more grateful than others they've encountered. Just because for them it's not just about a new job, it's about a new life, and so you really can help impact them, and at the same time they'll kind of give their best to your product. And so that's kind of the secret sauce that we found of a win-win scenario. So yeah, questions like, what are your guys' biggest hiring challenges? I did this presentation before with a larger, very big group of people, and so it's like, what are your top tips, and what do you wish you knew before you started? But just generally, love to have a discussion now, understanding what what questions you have and how we can help you specifically. I'm gonna stop sharing the screen.
So I've got a couple. We'll start with, you mentioned working weekends. And, understanding that it's a funny saying that I quote a lot, that only an entrepreneur will work 80 hours a week to avoid working 40. So there is a little bit of expectation of a marathon as well as sprinting when it comes to startup work. You're sprinting to a release and or you whatever. But how do you, without, I don't want to worry about, overworking and people doing that, making people work 80 hours a week or whatnot. But as a person who's trying to hire and as an employee or potential hire, how do I know that I'm going to be a right fit for the culture of the company? Are there questions I should ask, things I should dig into?
Yeah, so as an employee, I would say the biggest thing is just, yeah, how do you know the right fit? It's so much. It's so much of it is just kind of gut feel after talking to people that humans have built up over years of, hey, that person seems sketchy, or hey, that company seems sketchy, or this doesn't really quite feel right. A lot of that is actually very accurate. And when it comes to hiring, it's very much like finding a spouse or something like that. It's kind of there's no magic formula. But things that you can kind of do to improve your odds, talk to previous employees. So, hey, Glassdoor is a good one. Talking to people who used to work there if you can. LinkedIn, it's pretty easy to find people who previously worked at the company and send a message and ask them questions about, hey, please tell me about this person, or what do you think of the culture of this company? That would probably be the best way to see specific questions. What's your favorite part about working here? What do you wish can improve? Things like the questions like that, that you can, how can you say, ask during the interview, where you'll see if what the answer is. A lot of times those are kind of canned answers, but yeah, it's funny. There's no real substitute for just spending time with people, getting to know them, and seeing that if they are who they say they are, and building out that trust. Yeah, I mean, the working weekends thing was more just like an example of something you have to do once in a while, for sure. It's not like a expectation all the time. But it just, early days for Peter and Alex, I would say, you have to be intense about it. And I would look for those people who like that, who are just, yeah, I'm excited for this. Let's go. And you just, if you find that passion, I think that's more important sometimes than actual skill, especially early on.
Yeah, finding the people that meet the right tempo, and are, you're not going to find people who are as committed as you as a founder, but you want people who, it's not just a job. This is, we're starting something, we're changing something. We're getting it at a ground level and are excited about it.
I just see Peter's comment here. I want to quickly
Yeah, go
mention
ahead.
it.
Yep.
So he built his MVP with contractor developers and didn't really work out. Yeah, I would say contractors is hard. I would try and find people who are wanting to be team members, not just someone who's gonna kind of come in, put in the code, and then leave, because they don't really have any responsibility for after. They don't have to maintain it. If there's bugs, they're not the ones who have to fix them, etc. So I would try and find someone who, instead of being a co-founder, this is the challenge with co-founders, is you're going to give that person a significant amount of equity in your company for something that, unless you're doing like a robotics hardware, very, very like complicated company, there's probably things that you can do to build your MVP, Peter, with websites like Webflow and Unbounce and all these kind of tools to launch product that you don't need to even have a developer sometimes. Like, just I'm not sure exactly what you, or was it Peter who was saying he was building the
Yes, the delivery service.
delivery service. So I guess you have to have like a developer with Robotific. So yeah, I mean, just be careful giving someone that co-founder role unless you really, really trust that person. And if you do give them equity vested over 4 years. So say, listen, you're going to be my, CTO. You're going to get 10% of the company. You're going to get 2.5% per year every 4 years, or whatever that percentage is. It could be 20%, whatever you decide. But be very, very, very careful. Just give someone 20% or 30% of your company on day one, and then on day 5 they quit, and all of a sudden it's game over. So basically have to reincorporate a new entity. Sorry to clarify, MP is built and ready to go. Contract hasn't worked out. Person was
Referred to me by an advisor. Long story.
Yeah, man, it's hard, especially in the early days. Yeah, 20% is definitely non-starter. I mean, it's not even about like a percentage. I would just say like you don't need to give 1%. Like, think of 1% of equity in your company as $1 million, because hopefully your company will be worth $100 million in 5 years. And if you're not trying to build a $100 million 5-year company, I mean, it's not that's not like, it's okay. But even if that number is like 10x, that's still 100,000. Sorry, 10x, 10 times less, that's still $100,000. It's a lot of money for 1%. So just kind of go into it thinking things will succeed. I think for me in VanHack, I went into it as a side project. It was kind of like, oh, I'm just gonna kind of do this as a test just to see if I can pay my bills outside of work, and it ended up working really well. And then I had people on the team who were not like actually people I wanted to work with. Those were just like, yeah, when it wasn't serious. So just be very careful there, Peter, to give equity early on, and have that 1 year cliff where if that person comes in, it's a 4-year vesting schedule with a 1 year cliff, which means that in the first year, if you don't like them, you can let them go and they get zero, they get no equity. So be very, like, I would do that. If the person says they don't want that, then they're clearly the wrong person because they don't believe in themselves to stay for longer than a year. Yeah, exactly. Cool. Do you have a website, Peter?
And I'd suggest, yeah, and I'd suggest, starting with a small project together if you're looking for a co-founder, give them an assignment. The problem with contractors you just ran into didn't work out. Now you got this chunk of code. If you go get another contractor, you're paying them to learn your code, then to work on it, and then if they don't stick around, you got to do the same thing for someone else, and you're down in the weeds. So the better option is to hire someone, and give them a certain amount of work, and if it starts working out, then you can start talking about co-founder and more responsibility. If you co-founders are an extensive relationship, much like a marriage, and you're talking about equity, so you really want to make sure you can do that. And also take a look at all the grant programs, the funding programs related to SR&ED and the digital media tax credits, and I'm not sure what's out in BC versus here, and some of the loan programs. Go to Futurepreneur, go to OCE, go to some of these programs and get support if you can. They'll give you, a lot of them will give you money to help get these things going, which in turn you can pay a developer. And if you're, depending what you're doing, you can get 68 cents on the dollar on the back end from SR&ED, depending on all sorts of stuff. So you can find a way to do it.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point I should have brought up, is all these government grants, IRAP, SR&ED, super helpful. We got our IRAP funding and SR&ED funding as well, and so definitely good. Start part-time, figure it out, work together. Yeah, exactly. I just don't dive into the co-founder relationship. Like don't even, why not start working with that person as that person's a senior developer, and don't even bring up like that person being a co-founder. And then maybe after 1 month, be like, hey, by the way, you seem to be great. Are you enjoying this? Maybe you could be a co-founder. And then you can bring that question up afterwards, after you've had that vetting period, and you don't have that pressure of like, oh my God, this person's gonna be my co-founder. Like, it's seriously I don't know. My co-founder is my wife. Like that's the only person I trust to be my co-founder. And
I have similar issues. I've had a lot of partners with our business here at Toronto Starts, but no one has stepped up enough or to have that later conversation of, hey, I think you're good enough to be a co-founder here and work with me on this.
exactly, it's a lot of pressure, and just it's super hard to find people that you're 100% aligned with. It's very rare. There's this view that you have to have a technical co-founder in your business that I think is BS. There's a really good post by Mark Suster from Upfront Ventures. He's this guy who has the other side of the table blog. Is a VC from LA, and he talks about how you don't need to have a co-founder. And I'll post that in the chat now for you, Peter. But just yeah, please just don't even think about that right now. Just find a senior developer, and if they're really into what you're doing, maybe they'll join as a co-founder. But you just need one great person who will stay with you for like a couple of years to build your product.
And Alexander mentioned early on, just so we don't skip his question here, looking to see what your thoughts are on getting senior talent quickly in the environment, I guess today's environment, especially with startup funding being constricted. He says an example: advisory roles to transition into full-time contractors, etc., or product co-founders joining late in the game. So, any thoughts on that?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Product co-founders. I mean, I think the solution, honestly, Alex, is just looking for developers outside of Canada or like outside North America. That's the easiest solution. Um, that way, you're not playing in the same pool as everyone else and fighting for the same talent as everyone else. I would say that's the best one.
It is pretty competitive here in Toronto. I'm sure it's just as bad in Vancouver, where you're trying to hire talent. And there's so many universities, but they know their value, and developers either want a senior role or they want to start their own thing. So I think what you're saying is trying to get attracting a talent from somewhere else is the best way to go.
Yeah, yeah. Or maybe looking at smaller cities in Canada. So, like, if there's developers in, I'm not sure. Priority in Canada is the big challenge. Work closures and making stuff. So Alex, why do you want someone? What's the reason that you need someone in the country? Is it the shred and IRAP? Because if those are the reasons, when you can have someone for like a third of the price, right? Like so it's even cheaper than doing shred, and then you get the money. Like, you don't have to pay the money and then get the money back. You just save the money. That makes sense.
And even there, you can, depending on how you do it, a percentage of the people managing the people offshore can be taken for shred. And if your offshore people are cheaper, then yeah, yeah, exactly. You're not spending the money having to deal with it up front, and then hoping you're going to get the credit on the back end.
Yeah, because you only get it like June the following year. It's actually, Race Canada is a big challenge. We built our existing team overseas, but we're really focused on having a local tech counter over here. Again, why? I'm sorry, I don't understand why.
It sounds like they might have maybe had trouble with their initial group, and then decided that they're wanted to have someone local, or maybe they're looking for a local tech person to work with their clients specifically. We don't have enough information about the app, like if they need.
Yeah. Right factors, but correct is correct. Okay,
Okay.
cool. Okay, well, hey, I mean, if you are looking for someone, like, let's go deep into this. So are you looking for what stack? Like, what's the stack you guys are looking for? And then what's the seniority level? Just give me more about the role. What I would do is, cool, nice Java back and front. I would look at other parts of Canada. So I would look at other, other cities. So let's say developers who are living in maybe in the prairies or Maritimes, or kind of these smaller hubs where potentially you can offer them a kind of Toronto salary. I'm not sure what your budget is, and that be higher or kind of equivalent to what they're making there. And so they'd be curious, and then maybe they're more excited about you joining a startup, and so they'd be open to joining your team. That'd definitely be one thing. But Man, I mean, I started VanHack to solve the problem that you're going through right now. Well, I guess kind of it's one of the things that we do, but um, yeah, it's tough. Going to If you're a good Java and React developer, you're making like 120, 140, right? Like that's pretty hard to compete with. Um,
Yeah, but you might not be making that if you live in Halifax.
yeah, exactly. We're due for coffee catch up regardless. We'll talk after. Yeah, well, yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great, Alex.
You know,
Prairies are a good idea. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
uh, there's tech people everywhere now. Just you can definitely get value out of hiring someone in Saskatchewan, Halifax, somewhere else where they're not the cost of living isn't as high. But depends. Like here's the problem though. If you're talking about someone who needs to meet with your clients and you want them physically close with you, depending on where your clients are, so then, but if you don't
But in
care,
COVID times, right? Like we were talking in the beginning of the conversation, right? Like you
yeah.
don't want to go
So
to Toronto from Burlington because it takes all the time, and you don't have to anymore.
yeah, so I think they should check out your platform a little bit and understand. Maybe they can get the senior person anywhere else that will do what they need to do.
Yeah, I'm curious, Alex, how many people you've messaged about this position? Like, have you sent a message to every single React and Java developer in Toronto or in Ontario?
Joined all the
it's
groups and
it's not about just posting the job and praying, right? You have to proactively, especially for this kind of position, you have to proactively, headhunt yourself. It's yeah.
yeah, and
Put in the
attend the
work.
virtual meetups. 10 TechTO, anywhere where there are people where developers go. Our community, we've had, we do our startup drinks monthly, and we've had a few people from VanHack come out every once in a while. But the common complaint we get is we're all business owners. There's not many people looking for jobs in our community because there are people who are hiring or whatnot. Where if you go to TechTO or several other places, they're definitely filled with tech talent.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, this is very new. Toronto for Java is
Yeah,
vendors. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Let's see if we can find any people on VanHack for you.
yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah,
And you
sometimes we find some people who are in the country already.
and while you're doing that, what's this about your new Slack app?
Yeah, yeah. Here, Alex, there's 27 people who have their Canadian work permit and are React and Java developers. But yeah, so our Slack app, which I'll post as well in the chat, is basically a way I can demo it.
Perfect.
Yeah, so it's very simple. But for example, here's the app. You just have to click this button, and you're going to be getting a search bar. It's not working. Oh, here you go. Yeah. So, and then you press submit, and then a few seconds later, you're going to get 3 candidates right in Slack who
Wow.
potentially are, yeah, a good fit for you. So here we go. React Java. Here you go. 4 years experience, actually 8 years experience. So yeah, and this person, we know they're looking to make between $70,000 and $80,000, which is pretty awesome salary, right? And the countries they want to move to. So as I mentioned, Western Europe and Canada.
Huh.
Yeah, so within 10 seconds or a few clicks, found a potential candidate. So it's all about being able to quickly source right from I love how you said that, from the comfort of your Slack workspace. That was awesome.
Yeah, your comfort from your Slack channel. The question becomes: is can anybody can TechTO, can Toronto Starts load up that app so anybody in
Yeah,
our community could use that?
yeah, exactly. Anyone can use it. Where it's not everyone will have access to the full profile. You only get that once you sign up to VanHack, but yeah, anyone can use it, and it takes like a second to install. So yeah, we'd love to install it in as many Slack workspaces as possible.
Yeah, we'll definitely try and get the word out about that because a lot of companies have that, and why wouldn't they be able to just query that and then forward the couple over to their boss and they say, "Hey, let's take a look at these people."
Yeah, Yeah, exactly. You just want to make it super easy, like finding hiring a developer in 7 clicks or something. Just making it really streamlined.
So I sign up for VanHack and I'm looking for somebody and I do a post. What happens?
Well, you have someone from our team. Actually, I can also show that. So where's Chrome? Here we go. So you sign up to VanHack, you post a job, you get this view here, which is kind of like an interview pipeline, we call it. So here's a job we posted. When was it? A few weeks ago, about a week ago, and we have already 84 candidates here, and one doing the interview. So this is a company from Ottawa. Anyway, they're looking to hire someone. So you can come in here, you can see the full profile of the candidate, understanding exactly what they're looking like, who they are, where they're from, all the skills. We also do coding tests. Another cool thing is we do videos, so you can actually watch the video and see information about the candidate, get a little bit of their kind of feel for who they are, and then you can see notes from our team about that person, and then our team will also verify and see if that person's a good fit. And we also have an internal matching algorithm based on all the different tech skills that they have, as well as the how active they are on the platform and how much they're a match with the position. And and then we would recommend the candidate and go all the way to the final offer. So you can also move candidates next step, and then you can schedule interviews directly in the platform as well. So you can click here, you can book a time for the interview, and the candidate then accepts, and then you just have to jump on a Zoom call. So we're trying to remove all the friction through the entire process.
And as a candidate, well, first of all, before I do that, what does it cost me to post a role?
Yeah, so it's free. It's free to post a role. We work on a contingency model of 20% of annual salary if the person is hired. So there's no risk at all to give it a shot. And a lot of times the salary that people on our platform ask for, plus our commission, is lower than what you would pay a local candidate. And you can get the candidate much faster. We've actually have a startup in Toronto which has a record of 24 hours of hiring a developer 24 hours after they signed up to VanHack. Literally, we had a call. They posted the job that day. I sent them the candidate 5 minutes after the call. They had the interview the next day, and the offer was accepted that night. And he's actually still at the company. So yeah, it's actually I want to show you guys rather than just talking about it. So Nicholas is still the VP of engineering at LiveGauge, pretty much the CTO. Let's see if this will work. Yeah, so yeah, he's this guy's from Argentina, almost 3 years at the company now. So yeah, it's a Toronto-based startup called LiveGauge. So yeah, that's what happens.
And as a member, a tech member, meaning someone who's looking for a job, what does it cost me to sign up?
Absolutely nothing. It's free for candidates. And we do have an English school that if they want to join, they can, which I don't think we have a link here on the admin view, but I can show you. So actually the way we started is this kind of English classes, right? So we give you, I think it's 32 or 40 hours of English class per month, all in a group with kind of other developers. And we help you review your profile. It's just basically like that shining up of the diamond, as I talked about, diamond in the rough. Shar is actually working in Toronto. Marco is actually working in Waterloo. And Marcelo is working in Saskatoon, just as a FYI. This is the cost for that. So this is basically just, I'm going to say, out of date. We need to update that. But anyway, we basically want to create like the most cost efficient and best English school for developers. So it's something we teach people like how to pronounce Ruby on Rails and Python and PHP without an accent. Like there's a lot of people who say they like Ruby on Rails, right? Like if they speak Spanish or Portuguese or different countries have different accents. So it's just little things that make a big difference, and we can kind of help the candidate with that. And then give them that community support. So yeah, that's like another product that we have. So it's like $60 a month, and if you 3 months, 6 months for $300, it's really not a big revenue driver for us. It's not what it does is it builds up a really great community of people who we know they're serious and we really want to help them get hired. So yeah, it's free for like only 1% of our candidates actually do this, but it's free for almost everyone. And then some people, it's kind of like LinkedIn, if you want to get that premium version, a little bit more service.
What about you mentioned screening the tech talent? How do I know that your person who is Ruby on Rails is good?
The billion-dollar question. There's really it's just a job. There's really no way to know other than an interview, but coding tests are a decent kind of proxy, I would say. So we have an integration with HackerRank. Let me just see. Yeah, so Carol here, she did a HackerRank test. She got 96% on it. And that's actually another big part of VanHack is helping companies hire more diverse talent. And we're actually having a Women in Tech hiring fair in next week. So just an FYI. But yeah, you can see here her score. She worked on this for 3,000 minutes. I'm not sure how many hours that is. Wow, 22 hours. Okay, yeah. So she took a day to do this. Of course, she didn't work the whole time, but you can kind of see how long the person takes to answer the questions. And yeah, you can see kind of the report here. Anyway, the point is that it's this isn't a good example. There's others that are better. You can actually see the code of the person. But yeah, the coding tests are not everyone's taking one. Let me go to the telephone and find. The coding tests are a good proxy. They're kind of like do you know how to do X subject? But the biggest thing is just having that call with that person. So here you can kind of see the work that the person did.
Very cool.
This is more SQL. This isn't really like software engineering. It's more kind of database stuff. But yeah, you can kind of get a little bit of the taste of what what's her name here, Yin Yolin. I think I'm saying that right. Yeah. So that is the challenge of knowing who's good, and it's so funny because like who's good for you is not the same as who's good for me. Is not the same as who's good for Peter or for Alex, or it's so difficult. So that's really the fun and the challenging part and the frustrating part of hiring or of recruiting, of like trying to connect people. It's like, hey, we think this person's great, and so but you don't. So where's the disconnect, and how do we improve that?
Yeah, and it's hard especially when you're trying to do satisfy a lot of different aspects. You're not generally there during the interview, so you don't know how well people performed. You don't know who's the decision makers and on all aspects of this. So there's lots of pieces to the puzzle, but it's great that you can get that feedback and then encourage people to get better or find better candidates depending on what the feedback is.
For sure, exactly. Yeah, it's a never-ending battle. There's tons of open to jobs more and more every day, right? People like Peter and Alex are starting new businesses. Peter, by the way, to get your email, and I'll send you I'll just put my calendar here for both you guys. Since you're here, I'd love to. Where's the chat? Q&A? No. Oh, more. I see. All right, sorry. Yeah, guys. Please book a call with me. Happy to chat through your current situation. I can't type. .com/ my keyboard sideways. All right.
Hey, there you are. All right, perfect.
Yeah, I am.
All right, so obviously I was just going to say if people want to find out more, where do they go?
Yeah, vanhack.com.
vanhack.com. And if people want to find out about your Slack app, where do they go?
Yeah, well, we haven't launched that yet, so stay tuned for Product Hunt, October, I think 4th or 6th. We have October 6th. Yeah, so Craig, I'm gonna be counting on you to do some upvoting, commenting, and promoting, please, on that day.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we're gonna be launching on Product Hunt October 6th. Mhm.
Yeah, just send me all the information when it happens, and also send me your the link and the information for your Women in Tech event coming up.
Okay, yeah, definitely. I'll send both. I'll stop sharing. I'll send both of those to you on LinkedIn. Well, I'll send the Women Tech event right now on LinkedIn, and then got to talk to our head of marketing about when we're going to do how we're going
Yeah,
to have like a little package for friends of VanHack to promote it. Thank you so much, and this was really fun. Thank you for the time and the opportunity to chat.
and thank you for taking the time to help our audience here. And I'll let you know when this is posted, and we'll talk again soon. Thank you again, Ilya.
Yeah, you too, Craig. Enjoy the day.